All right. Okay, guys. You're welcome back to the final part of our demo. And in this part, we're going to clean up. We're going to see how we clean up our code, because when we're developing this application, the part one and part two, we duplicated a lot of code in different pages, of which supposed not to be for maintainability purpose. So this section, we're going to focus on how to clean up the page, on how to make our code maintainable, and we're going to complete the remaining CRUD operation, which is the edit and the delete operation. So before then, I'm just quickly going to show you the situation of our project right now. You can see here that the project is running already. And let's go to our browser, and here is our home page. I'm just going to refresh. So here is our home page. So now let's try to view users here. And before, for part one and part two, when we want to log in, there is no menu there, right? So I have fixed this menu to all pages. So now let's quickly log in and see what we got in this application. So here I just want to log in. So this the current situation of our application, the final product of our application, right? So here what we're going to do here, we're going to implement these two actions as we promised in our previous part two, right? So now before that, I'm just going to go here and add another user. So let's say this time we're going to add Robinson and Robinson John. Let me just say John, right? So here I'm just going to say Rob. This one here right now, we don't need to put valid email, right? Because this one just we don't need to verify this as time. So we just want to use this as demo. So 1 2 3 4 5 6. So now we just registered. And we see that success message has returned here, which means an email has been sent. A message has been sent to the email we entered, but that email is not a valid one, right? So we don't have to bother for that. So let's go back to view all users. So right here we see Robinson John, which is the new user we just added, right? And this one are the one existing before. So now let me walk you through on how I make this work. So let's swing over to IntelliJ here, right? Let me see. Okay. So I'm quickly going to open up let me open up the template here. This here, the template. So these are users. So I've created a fragment here. If you see here, I've created a fragment, like I said last time, right? Like I suggested last time. So I created a Thymeleaf fragment here called fragment. Then I pasted all the links, the CSS link, the bootstrap links I pasted here. And also I pasted the Thymeleaf namespace here as well. And the navbar also I pasted here as well, right? So there's the fragment. And the next step I did is just to come here to all the pages and include. So we have to, this is the bootstrap here in the head section, which is the bootstrap link that contains the bootstrap links and sorry, how would they call it, the Thymeleaf namespace. And this one here also, this is the navbar, right? This is the navbar from the fragment as well. And remember that in one page we can have multiple fragments in one page. So if you look here, we have this one is one fragment here, which is the bootstrap in the head section, and in the body section we have another fragment here. So this one is the navbar fragment, right? So that is what I just called here. So inside the body I called the navbar fragment here, and in the header section I called the bootstrap fragment. So that is how we got all, you see, all the pages we just to include. You see our home page is not neat, right? So we just include all the fragments to all our pages. So now every pages of our application is carrying a menu for easy navigation. So that was how we come into this beautiful looking page, right? Okay, now having said that, we are going to move straight to the implementation of these two controls. Sorry, these two actions, right? Okay, so let's go back to IntelliJ, and now I'm going to shut down the server for now, and I'm just going to right click all these and close all tabs. And now I'm going to close the template as well, and we're going to go to user. So now we go to user controller. So we can see that in our user controller, we only have just one endpoint to get all users, right? And in the registration controller, we have an endpoint to actually register a user. Like this is what we did already. So I don't have to iterate all this because I don't want this video to be too long, right? So this is all we have done already in our registration controller. So now let's go back here, and so the first method I'm going to create is a method to actually edit our existing user. So now we just come here and say, I'm going to be a little bit faster with this because I don't want this video to be too long, because the other part, the part 1 and part 2 are really long. So this one is just like a very short one. Okay, so let's go. So this is the method that we actually return the page for the update, right? So here we have to say string. I'm going to call this show update form. Show update form, and so here we're going to have this one is we're going to have the user ID, right, to carry along with the form, right? So here we just have long because our user long is ID. Sorry, our user ID is long. So now we're going to have the model. And now this one is going to be at request, path variable, right? So we say at path variable, and that variable is going to be the ID, right? Okay, so before we move ahead, I'm just going to annotate this with get mapping. Oh, sorry, get mapping. This one, I mean. And this one, we're going to name it as edit, just edit slash the user ID, which is the path variable, right here. So this is the endpoint, and we're going to go into here and just say, so now we're going to find the user that we want to edit, right? So we'll have optional. Oh, sorry, optional user. Equals user service dot find by ID. So now we're going to create another variable under a method that we have not created before. So we're going to say find by ID. So we're going to create this method in a moment in our service class, right? So now we're just going to say model. We're going to add model dot add attributes, and this one is going to be user, and we're going to get the user we fetch from the database, right? Dot get here, and so we're going to return the page. So this one we're just going to say return update user. We're going to call this page update user, right? So now before we move on, let's create this method. Yeah, so we have this here, and let's go to our user service implementer, and I'm going to zoom this a little bit, and let's implement this. Yeah, right here. For that, we're just going to call the repository, that user repository dot find by ID, this one here, and we're going to pass in the ID. Yeah, so that's what we got here. Now we have we are done with this find by ID. The next thing we're going to do here is to all right, so we are done with this method. So now we're just going to go back to the controller, and here we see that this page has not been created. That's why this line is here. So I'm going to go to our template folder and right click to create a new HTML file. What is it? HTML here, this one here. This is not what I want. So just want to right click on this and create new. This one here, new HTML file. So we say update user, and to save our time, I'm just going to paste in the markup language, the HTML. And what we did here basically is just like the same every other form we've created before, right? So this one is update user, and here we have the title like edit user, and this is the form here. The form control is actually going to the users, which is the user controller slash update, which is the action we're going to create. We're going to create this endpoint in a moment, right? So now we're actually hiding. We are hiding the ID. A hidden field is here to actually to actually track the ID of the user, right? So it's just the same thing like the form we've created before. Just that this one here, actually, we just got 3 controls: the first name, the last name, and the email. Because this one has to do with security, we got password, but we don't want to change the password along with the names, except the user wants to change the password, and that one will be another functionality. But for the goal of this project, we're not going to go into that. So we just want to change the last name, the first name, the last name, and the email could be changed, right? So this is the form. So having done this now, I'm going to close this down. And when we go here, we see that this error will go away. We see that this error has gone away, right? So the next thing we're going to do is to actually go back to our user controller. And now we're going to implement the method that will actually do the job of updating the user, right? So now I'm just going to come here and create another public method, public string. So this one, we're just going to call it update user. Update user. And so this one also is going to take the path variable. And this one's going to be the ID as well. Type long. Now this one also is going to carry the user that we're going to update right here. So before we go on, I just want to annotate this so I don't forget anything. So this one is going to be a post mapping, and this mapping here is going to be exactly like the form I just showed you, which is the update user, update slash the user ID, right here. Oh, sorry, this one is closed bracket. So this one here should correspond with, what is it? This one here, this form we just created, this one here. So this one is user slash update slash the user ID, right? This is how we can update, we can grab the user and its ID, right? So now we're just going to call the user service to actually do the job of updating the user. So we're going to say user service dot update user. We're going to create this method in a moment, and here we're going to just pass the ID here, and we're going to say user dot get first name, user dot get first name. What is the first name? This one here, and we just say last name. This one is not like a record, right? So we just okay user dot get last name. Yeah, we're gonna get the email, right? And so these are the things we just need to update: the first name, the last name, and the email of the user. And this is the ID we are tracking here, right? So after that, we're going to, if everything went successfully, we're going to redirect. So we're going to redirect to the update page, sorry, the users page, to actually reflect what we've just done, right? Redirect. So here we're going to redirect with a parameter. So we have users, and as usual, we're going to redirect with the parameter that we actually, with a message to tell us, to inform the user that a user has been successfully updated, right? So we're going to say success update. By the way, there is another method, another way we can actually use to carry message from here to the user, to any page we want to navigate. So like, just like using redirect attributes of the Spring framework, like Spring MVC, redirect attribute. So in that case, we can just say something here like redirect, this one here. We can just use this to add flash messages. So this one actually add flash messages that will fade away after some time, right? But for now, we're not just going into that. We're just going to make this simple. We just redirect, and we're going to set a message in that controller, in that user page, these users here. Of course, I think I've set the message already. Okay, here, this one here, update success. So when the update is successful, it's going to show this message to the user by directing the users to the whole of the page, right? Here. So now I'm going to close this again and go back to the controller. So now we are done with this. So let's actually create this method in our user service, right? In our user service class. So let's create this in our user service class. Okay, it's gone here. So let's go to the implementer to actually implement this. So I'm just going to hit on Alt Enter, and okay again, and get the method here. So what we're just going to do here is to create a new user, is to actually save the user to the database, right? So what we just need to do here, let's move to a new line, and now we're just going to call the user repository update user, right? We're going to create this method. This one's a customized method we're going to create. So here we just pass in the first name, and we say the last name here, and we say also the email here, and then we put in the ID, right? We use the user ID. Okay, so this is what we just need here. So what we're just going to do here is to create this method in our repository, right? So now we have created this method here, but now what we're just going to do here, this is our repository, right? So we are going to create a customized query to actually update this user. The reason why we want to do this is this, because this user actually has a password, and we don't want that password to be updated, right? So now we're going to customize a query to actually do the job of getting this user to update the specified user attribute right here. Okay, so now let's go here and actually write a customized query to do that job for us. So we're going to just say @query. Here we're going to set the name, just to set the value, and so this one is going to be update, right? So we'll say update, this one here, update user. Going to give ls, and so now we're going to set the attributes that we want to edit. So we'll say u.firstName, set the first name equals first name, the one we got here. Make sure what we are writing, this name here, is exactly the same thing. Anyway, you see that IntelliSense is given to us, but it should be the same thing with what is in the user entity, right? So we're just going to say first name here, first name, and we're going to say last name, u.last name, equals last name. And I'm going to break this down. Let's break this down from here. And u.email equals email we got here, and the last one is the ID. So here we're going to say u.id equals the ID, right? This one here. So this is the custom. What happened here? Okay, yeah, we're going to do this. So we have to put this one here because we are modifying the entity. We are modifying that user, that we are the part of it. We are not modifying everything, right? We just try to change a part of the user. So we have to use this annotation here at modifying, right? Okay, so this is the custom method we need to do in our repository, in the user repository, to actually do the job of the update for us. So now we are going to go back to our controller. Okay. So now I think we are done with this. We are done with this method now. So I'm just going to close this down. Let's close this down for now. And you see the error's gone away. Okay, so we are done with this method. So we are going to go back to our user controller. So the next method we're going to create here is a method that will actually get the user deleted, right? So let's say public. Let's say public string delete user. So we're going to call this delete user, right? Here, delete user, and we're going to get the path variable of the user here at path variable, which is the ID of the user. So here the ID is of type long, and straightforward we're going to call the user service to just delete delete user. So this method is not in existence. We're going to create in a moment. So let's just pass in the ID, and when that is done, we're going to return back. We're going to return back to fetch all users, right? So we're just going to say return redirect as usual. Return redirect users. So this one is going to fetch all users from the database, and we're going to pass a message here. We're going to go with a message delete success. So we're going to give the user a message that a user has been deleted successfully, right? So this one here is going to be get mapping, and it's going to, we're just going to say here delete slash that's the ID of the user, which is the path variable, right? This one here. Okay, so this is all we need to do here in this controller. So the next thing we're going to do here is to actually create this method in our user service. So you can see that we're actually creating this method. We're trying to create it inside the interface, right? To actually declare all the signature of all our method in one place so that it will be uniform, right? So let's actually go to the user implementer to implement this method. So let's go here. Let's go implement this. Just implement method here, this one, and click OK. So what we're just going to do here is to find the user by the ID, right? So let's have optional. There is something here I forgot to explain here. Let me just finish this. I will explain this. This user deletion is not let's go user repository dot find, because we're going to find this user first. Dot find by ID here, find by ID. Then we just pass in the ID right here. And now there's something I want to explain here. This user here, we cannot just delete this user like every other deletion we used to do, because this user has relationship with other entities, right? So for example, this token here, where is it? This token here has a relationship with the user, this one here. right? So that's why if we go to the table, if we go to our database here, we see that, let me close this, no, that's safe. So we see that this is the verification token, right? So right here we have the user ID here as a foreign key in this table, right? If we go back to our project, you see that this is the user ID we've declared here is the foreign key in this table. But now if we go to the user here, if we go to the user, there is no reference. There's no reference to the verification token from the user. So which means this relationship is a unidirectional, one-to-one unidirectional relationship, which means we can only access user from the token, but we cannot access the token from the user. So for example, we can say token.getUser, right? And we'll get the user that is attached to the token. But on the other hand, we cannot say user.getToken because there's no reference from the user to the token, which means the user does not know about this table here, but this table knows about the user, right? So for us to be able, that makes this one the parent of this. So the user becomes the shard to this, right? And now for us to delete this user, we must pass through the parent to delete the user. So we cannot pass through the shard to delete the parent, right? Because it's going to throw this constraint here, this foreign key constraint. So for that, we're going to make our implementation to come from here to actually delete this user, right? So let's go back to the user service. What is the service? This one here. And now the first thing we do is to get the user. So after getting the user, we're going to check if the user is present. And now that brings us to having the reference here. Where is it? The reference to the verification service, verification token service, right? So let's have final verification token service, this one here. So we'll just say verification token service. So now if this user, the first thing we did is to find the user from our database with the ID that is passed in, the ID we got from we brought from here. Where is the form? The ID we brought from here, right? This is the ID here we took from here. So we're actually taking that ID down here to find a user with that ID in the database. Now, if that user is found, so we're just going to call the token verification service to delete the user, delete that token using the user ID, right? So now we just user dot. Now, if the user is present, we're going to say if the user is present here, then we're going to say that we're going to call the verification token to actually delete. So here verification token service dot delete, and this message we're going to this method we're going to create a custom method we're going to create in the repository in the verification token service in a moment. So here we're just going to get the user here, user dot get ID. We're going to get the ID of the user, this one here, so that we can actually delete this token here. What's happening here? Variable is already defined. Okay, here. So I'm going to change this. I'm going to call this the user, right? So I'm going to call this like this one here. So now if this one is deleted successfully, so we're just going to, so when this one is deleted successfully, because now we're having two operations here, right? So now we're going to call the user repository to actually delete the user, delete by ID. We're going to delete the user by ID, this one here, and we pass in the ID of the user, right? Just like this. So now, because we are having two operations here, we want, if one operation fails, the second one will fail, right? So this one, it makes this one a transaction, right? So this one is a transaction because it has a sequence of operation in one method. A sequence of operation is going to take place. This one first, second to this, and second to this. So this one must be deleted. It's going to go to this repository of this token to delete the token. Then it will now come back to the user repository to delete the user, right? So for that, we're going to make this one here at transactional. So this one here will make at transactional, right? So now we're going to create this. We're going to create this method in our user, in the token repository. So we're going to pass from the interface, and then we're going to go to the implementer. So now I'm going to close this here. I'm going to close this. I don't need it. So let's go here and actually implement this method. So implement this and implement. Yeah. So now what we're just going to do here is to call the token repository to actually delete the token using the user ID, right? Which is the ID of the user we got here. This ID here. We're going to use this ID to delete the user token. Then after that, the user will be deleted. So we're just going to say token repository dot delete. So we're going to create a custom method here. Delete by user ID. And we're going to pass in the ID here. Okay, so this is what we just need to do. So now let's so let's actually create this method in the token repository here. Okay, so I think we're in a good shape now, almost getting to an end. So now we see that this one is been created. So what we're just going to do here is to close this. I'm going to close this, and I'm going to close this as well because I'm not doing nothing with that right now. So we're going to close. I'm just going to close the ones that I'm not using. So I'm going to close this. This one also, we're going to close it. We close this. So now we are left with this. And another one we're going to do here is to, okay, we're going to close this as well. So we're left with the user controller. So let's cross check. So right here we have the user form to return the form, which is what we've created here already. So when the form is returned, we're going to enter the data. When the form is clicked, it's going to come here to actually edit the user, right? So after that, we're going to, the delete one here is going to, this one here as well. We're going to have the user from the form with the ID of the user, and actually go here to actually fetch the user from the database, which is this one here. Fetching the user from the database, then we're going to if the user is found, then we're going to go to the verification token repository to delete the token from the user first. So when the token is deleted, then we're going to come back to the user repository to delete the user from the database, right? So that's why we are using a transactional here. Okay, I think now we are good to test our application. So let's test it and see what we got. All right, let's go. So here the application started running. So let's go to our browser and refresh our page. Okay, so this will be refreshed. So let's log in again for us to be able to access one devices. So here we go here. So let's try to edit. Just trying to edit this guy here. And here we have Robinson, John. So let's say Johnson, for example, and click on this. We got an error. So what happened? Let's quickly let's go to our page and see what error. What happened here? Update query, blah blah blah. What happened? Okay, transactional required exception. Okay, so we need to, this one here, there's the error here, transactional required exception. So that means we need to annotate, where is it? We need to annotate this user with the same transactional here. These are updates, transactional, this one here. Yeah, so because we are having, what is it? Because we are having we have a custom query here, right? So it's a transaction. We have a custom query here that should be executed, evaluated before actually doing the job. So let's restart our project and see what we get. Okay, so we see that this project has started again. So let's go back to our browser and let's actually go back to the home page. Okay, so let's view all users here. So let's try to do this edit again. Let's update this user again. Robinson Johnson. Let's just say Johnson here, and I'm going to edit the email as well. Robinson. So we have, instead of rob.email.com, we have to say robinson.email.com. So let's actually update. We still have a problem. What could have be? What could have was happening again? Okay. Constraint. Okay. Let me pause this. Sorry for that error. It was my bad. I forgot the where clause here. So we're actually updating this user. We're actually setting some specific attribute of the user, changing some specific attribute of the users, right? But I forgot to specify where the ID, this where clause, I forgot that was what caused the error. Okay, now the application is running again. Let's go back to our browser and do the final testing. So here I'm just going to open up the home page. And here, let's view our users. But what I'm just going to do here is to log out. Let me log out. And let me clear my cookies here. Delete all cookies when allowed to be safe. Don't allow, delete all cookies. So let me just do this. Okay, so let's reload this. All right, so now let me try to view, let's view the users and let's log in. 1 2 3 4 5 6. So let's log in. So now we have logged in successfully. So now let's try to delete. Let's delete this guy here. So here we are able to delete, and let's try to delete this guy too. And here we are able to delete as well. So let's add more. So here I'm just going to add Mary Public, and I'm going to have Mary at public. So 1 2 3 4 5 6. So let's log in. Oh, sorry, let's register. So this one has registered successfully, but we are not going to verify this email because the email is not a valid email. Yeah, you see, it's not found anywhere. So let's add a couple of more. Going to add Clifford, and this guy, and so let's have Cliff. Let's have Cliff at email.com. Let's just say at email.com like this. Oh my gosh, the password 1 2 3 4 5 6. So let's put the password. So here we got the password, right? And I'm just going to pause this video and add a couple of more. Okay, so here I've added a couple of more users. So now we can see that our page is clean. And now I'm going to, let's edit. So I'm going to edit this guy here. Feman, I'm going to say, let's just say Felix. Let's say Felix Jaffet, right? Just for example. And let's edit. And here we have Felix Jaffet, right? Actually, edited. So let's try to delete this guy. I want to delete this guy here and delete Clifford. Let's delete Clifford. You see, Clifford has deleted. So let's delete Jaffet. You see, Jaffet has deleted. So now we can see that our application has actually come in good shape. The last thing I really want you to do is just to try to add this one here, like dismissible, make it dismissible so you can actually click on it and remove it, right? Dismissible. So now we can see that our application is cleaned up and we are able to implement the CRUD operation, which is the create, retrieve, update, and delete, everything working from end to end. Okay, guys, thank you so much for being around, and I hope to see you next time, because we have a lot of demos to do in subsequent time. Thank you for coming, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you have not done that. Please don't forget also to like my videos and introduce my channel to your friends. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you again in our subsequent demo. Thank you and goodbye.